Yo, what up, nerds? New weekend, new anime streaming showcase. There's the logo. As always, thank you for joining me. This week, we're going to look at, again, another relatively new series in the last couple of years, Blood Blockade Battlefront, aka Kekai Sensen. Probably one of the most highly regarded, visually striking series, plot-wise, it can be pretty divisive depending on who you ask. It definitely had probably one of the strongest ending themes of the year when it came out. So if you haven't heard it and you enjoy it, I don't blame you. It's pretty goddamn catchy. Unison Square Garden just have a way with their music that it's pretty awesome. So we're going to hop into it, talk about it, and we'll be right back. In the world of Blood Blockade Battlefront, aka Kekai Sensen, depending on your preference, there exists Hell Salem's Lot. Hell Salem's Lot was formerly known as New York City, but a few years ago, in the wake of a cataclysmic event combining the Earth's dimension with that of the Netherworld, humans and creatures live mostly harmoniously. This magical, allegorical melting pot is surrounded by an impenetrable bubble which is now under attack from a scheming villain desperate to unleash Hell Salem's Lot's power upon the rest of the world. It's up to our hero Leonardo Watch and his all-seeing eyes of the gods to assist the secret organization Libra to rid Hell Salem's Lot of impending doom. Don't quote me on this, as I'm simply too lazy to look up at the moment the exactness of this claim, but I do believe this is the first time I've ever covered two series from the same creator in an ass. Perhaps Shinichiro Watanabe was first, but let's move on from that. This is Yasuhiro Naitao, creator of the already asked Trigun, returning to the manga and anime forefront with one of the most visually appealing anime of the last decade. Typesets and attacks litter the screen in glorious rendering as explosions and blood rip across the battlefield. Similar to how shows like One Punch Man and Mob Psycho 100 showcased their battles, Kekai Sensen followed suit and allowed animators and directors to get truly creative to produce stupendous moments. I'm a huge sucker for when subgroups do this, despite that being very, very illegal, children. But fonts and text accentuating attacks and being spelt out in utterance across screen is one of my aesthetics, and thankfully it happens enough but never too much in Sensen to leave me satisfied every time. Stylistically, Kekai Sensen has a lot going for it. The flair of Kekai Sensen drips from nearly every cell, and the philosophical themes and dialogue spewing from the cast reek of a Naitao creation. Despite the manga running since 2009, when this burst on the scene in 2015, nerds got incredibly hyped from the previews and press releases alone. I must have been completely out of touch, because when their name was announced and this simply had too much clout to ignore, and when an anime of their work is launching, you better shut the fuck up and get ready. Needless to say, I strapped in and was there day one for Kekai Sensen, and I watched mouth agape as my eyes and ears were destroyed, positively, by awe and excitement. Tasking the always terrific Studio Bones to handle production on an outrageous series such as Kekai Sensen is the perfect choice, as their animators and directors are more than up to snuff. Naitao's directions create the world, but Bones casts them into motion and presents some of the most exaggerated content comparable to very few shows. It can perhaps be a bit overwhelming from time to time, seeing so much sensory overload with little breathing room throughout, but when the slower moments occur, you will be thankful they are there. These dialogue-laden scenes aren't just breathing rooms though. They're pivotal to explain the world, divulge plot points, characterize the many, many denizens throughout the city, but they're also densely packed and a bit contrived at times. Not all of these scenes are contrived, and it's mostly towards the end of the series, but they often drag more than they drive. Once the plot ball starts rolling, Kekai Sensen mostly feels like an anthology series versus an attached plot from episode to episode. Many episodes in its first series are often focused on one of the Libra members or someone from the city. One of my personal favorite episodes comes about halfway through the series with episode 6 and turns into an almost Memento-esque story. It showcases the heart of Naitao's characters, and that's one of his best attributes, his ability to create terrific characters in his already creative world. He did it in Trigun, and he's done it again here with Kekai Sensen. Unfortunately, not every character gets the limelight and fades quickly, but many of the major players are fleshed out enough. Perhaps the second series elaborates further, but within this series, it's just not quite enough for some. Audibly, there is something additionally to take away from Kekai Sensen, as the soundtrack ranges from futuristic jazz and pop to century-old pieces from Mozart, Beethoven. As odd as that combination might sound, in context it works wonderfully with scenes set against the wonderful classical and modern music. In terms of dubbing, this is yet another excuse for me to pseudo-fillet Funimation for their work once again. Initially, I watched all of Kekai-Sensen subbed when it aired, but then came off the hiatus that prevented the original finale from airing for several months, so to catch back up before it finally aired, I leaped back in via the Funimation dub and never looked back. There are a few terms that snag my ears as out of date within Kekai Sensen, such as noob being thrown around. It just sounds off, but ultimately it's a glorious presentation of the Funimation talent. Speaking of the finale and the first series as a whole, as much as I truly enjoy the style and substance, sometimes the substance could escape me, and even after scouring the internet, it seems, thankfully, I am not alone in comprehending Sensen's finale. It can be a mite confusing and require some additional looking into or repeat viewings to collect it all, but regardless, in terms of presentation and entertainment, there is still ample amount of content in this relatively short series. With the second series also wrapped up, I'm eager to explore more of Hellsalem's lore and discover what else Studio Bones and Night Owl's creations are up to. So there we have it, another anime streaming showcase episode in the can, so to speak. Blood Blockade Battlefront, a series that I really did enjoy and sadly have not kept up with the second season, but it is in my queue, my ever-growing gigantic queue that I hope one day to completely erase, but let's be honest, that will never happen. So it will be a sooner rather than later than I do tackle that show. Whether or not it becomes an ass will determine how good that series, whether or not if it's any good. But I do look forward to checking it out, as well as checking out more anime, as there's always something to be watching. There's just so many stupid shows, and I wish I had the time and the energy and the money and everything to simply just do all of that, but I can't. So I try to do it as much as I can. I've got a couple that I'm looking forward to starting. I've got scripts that I've got queued and scripts that I need to be writing, which I plan to do. I've got more episodes planned through 2018, so hopefully that comes pretty soon. As always, thanks for the Laser Time Nerds for allowing me the opportunity, the outlet, all that fun stuff to drop this in their community and talk about anime. I really do enjoy it. I love it. It's one of my favorite things to do. And so I look forward to more episodes, and I hope you do too. And we'll see you next time, dummies. Bye.